They said holiness was only for the quiet, for those who hid behind monastery walls. But Saint Wolfgang of Ratisbon proved them wrong. He showed the world that true holiness is not found in escape, but in service, suffering, and sacrifice. He was born around the year 934 in Swabia, a land of forests, castles, and war. From the time he was a boy, Wolfgang carried something rare, a hunger for truth, a peace that couldn't be shaken by the noise of the world. He studied under the great minds of his time, but his real wisdom came from prayer. Every night he would whisper, "Lord, make me a servant who does not run from the cross." And God answered. Wolfgang became a teacher, loved for his patience and kindness. But when the church grew weak and worldly, he couldn't stay silent. He left comfort behind and became a Benedictine monk, vowing to live for God alone. He prayed, fasted, worked, and wept for souls. His tears were not for himself. They were for a church that had forgotten humility, for priests who had forgotten holiness. Soon, heaven sent him on a mission to reform Bavaria, a land drowning in corruption. He didn't come with swords or power, but with truth. He spoke gently, but his words cut deep. He rebuilt churches, restored monasteries, and called every man, rich or poor, to remember the fire of faith that once burned in their hearts. But even when his name became known across the land, Wolfgang longed for silence. He withdrew into the deep forests of Austria, living alone by a clear blue lake, the one we now call Wolfgang See. There, he built a small chapel with his bare hands, praying by the sound of rushing water and wind in the pines. If this story is touching your heart, pause for a moment, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Because these stories aren't just history, they're reminders that God still calls us today. All right, let's continue. One night in that forest, a poor woodcutter came to him with his sick child, burning with fever, at the edge of death. Wolfgang knelt beside the boy, made the sign of the cross, and prayed softly. By morning, the child was healed. Word spread. Soon, crowds began to find the holy hermit. Blind eyes were opened, crippled legs walked again, and broken hearts found peace. But Wolfgang never took the credit. He would only smile and say, "It is not I who heal. It is Christ who passes through me." When the people of Ratisbon, Regensburg, begged him to become their bishop, he refused again and again until God made it clear that this was his will. As bishop, Wolfgang was both gentle and fierce. He defended the poor against greedy rulers, fought injustice, and never stopped reminding his priests that the church was not about power, but about the cross. Even kings came to him for advice, yet he remained as humble as the hermit he once was. He slept little, gave most of his food to beggars, and spent nights praying before the tabernacle. But his body grew weak. Years of fasting and labor broke his strength. Still, he whispered, "Lord, I will work for you until my last breath." That last breath came one quiet night in 994. He lay down on the cold floor of a small chapel, and with a faint smile said, "Into your hands, Lord, I commend my spirit." At that moment, a soft light filled the room, and those nearby said it felt like heaven opened. After his death, countless miracles happened at his tomb. The sick were healed, the desperate found hope, and pilgrims traveled from faraway lands to touch the earth where he had prayed. Even today, the lake that bears his name, Wolfgang See, still glows with a strange peace at sunrise, as if the saint is still there, watching over the souls who wander near the water. Saint Wolfgang's life is a reminder that God can use anyone, a teacher, a monk, a hermit, or a bishop to bring light into the darkest places. You don't need a title to be holy. You just need courage and the faith to say yes, even when it hurts.